It says that you are live. Okay. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon. Hey guys, hey, it's Ty, and welcome back to my channel. So on this channel, I suggest and advise information. I speak from a place of experience, and I inform you guys by educating you guys by using natural resources. So good evening, good morning, or good afternoon. It is 11:08. I am 8 minutes late to the date, but it is okay. It is April 2nd. 2022, and today is Saturday. So already it is April 2nd, and already it is a new month going into the rest of this year. So, with that being said, I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. If you're out right now, I hope you guys are getting to and from your destination safely and staying hydrated by drinking plenty of water, as I have my water here. So, welcome back. Thank you so much for those of you who are returning. Thank you so much for subscribed and having your notifications on. And for those of you who are just stopping by, once again, I suggest and advise information. I speak from a place of experience. I do educate you guys by using natural resources. So with that being said, I do not know everything, and I do not feel the need to think that I know everything. So that being said, I do like to educate you guys from experiences that I use every single day, what has helped me along my journey, as well as using informative information. So, how I go about that informative information is using natural resources. So, like the internet, I go outside, geographic location, transportation, my finances, supernaturally, spiritually, intuitively, as well as using a dictionary and the source. So, specifically and strategically, last year I used the dictionary and the source to break down keywords from the title/topic to generalize and to reassure and to refresh everyone because everyone in life does not interpret or process information the same way. So, that being said, there is no right or wrong way to heal. And because I'm only one person, I want everybody to, express themselves, be comfortable with themselves, and find themselves. So I'm just a messenger. I'm just here to suggest and advise information. If these messages and videos resonate with you, once again, I tell you guys to be patient and to bear with me, and as well as follow me on my Instagram and my Twitter at Ty_guidance. And you guys, I want you guys to follow my new page. I have a backup page or a second page, and on that page, I will be making cooking videos and vlogging. I have 3 videos already, and I'm going to be posting another video very soon for this month. But for today's video, the title is New Video, New Month, Going with the Flow. So yesterday was April 1st and the beginning of a new month. And like I said, specifically and strategically, last year I was using the dictionary to break down keywords to generalize information because everyone in life does not interpret information the same way. So everyone does not have the same finances, resources, emotionally, consciously, intuitively, geographically. So everybody is only able to interpret information based off of what they've been advised as well as what they already know. So with that being said, you can educate yourself just like me. Fun fact, you guys, I have a high school diploma and that is it. I'm not someone who allows validation through resources to define my worth. So just because I haven't been to college, just because I don't have any certifications, just because I don't have any degrees, or just because I don't, read books that most people do or inform people that most people would, doesn't invalidate my experiences or you guys. So that being said, it's okay if you've only been exposed to certain experiences and opportunities and realities in life, because everyone in their world is, one, living in their world, and two, because everyone only knows what they've been taught, there is no right or wrong way to live your best life and heal. So that being said, healing is a choice. It is an option. I do not force people what to do, and I don't tell people what to do. So on this channel, you will hear me say that I suggest and advise information, and I speak from place of experience. If I need to use a dictionary, it's to break down the keywords and the titles, not for people to allow the words in the dictionary or any attachment or any label to get to them. So, for example, I know a lot of people read the dictionary and some people allow certain words and adjectives to define them. I don't read the words to define my work, but for a general understanding. So on this channel, I do like to generalize and I do like to, break down what has helped me along my journey when it comes to healing in the most simplest way for you all to interpret. So today's April 2nd already, and it's already 11:13, which is letting me know like this year, just like any other year, is gonna go by, but every single year is different in the physical world. And that's another thing. On this channel, I'm a supernatural being. So with that being said, I'm just a spirit. I do not allow words, people, and places and things to, like I said, define my worth, because when it comes to healing, how I internally heal myself is supernaturally and for the spirit. So like anybody who chooses to support me or chooses to stop by, just know that we're going to be internally growing. I feel like when it comes to external worth and when it comes to physical material items, those things should not, I want to say, define you. Now, there's nothing wrong with owning or buying physical material items or having physical and material items and being exposed and having experiences, but those moments are temporary. In life, one thing that I recently have really like thought and processed about was transitioning. So most people who transition, what I mean by that is DEATH, death. Yes. The reason why a lot of people never like take the time to realize that is because of the custom and how we're raised. So like I live in America, you guys, and I also make a lot of jokes about being an American, but I do have immigrant bloodline and I have been outside of the country and I have traveled. So it's an American thing. If you know, if you get it, you get it. Like we're so taught to like work hard, to allow ourselves to be so overwhelmed, to not realize that we don't live in life forever, and that in life we want to make memories and grow and learn to go with the flow. Like in life, we're taught to work hard, to be slaves, and to be enslaved mentally. Because if we're not working hard, if we don't work 60, 70 hours in a year or in a day, like we're not anything, which is not true. Because in life, you're born into this world and you leave. So it's like, why would we work our entire lives just to pass away? That's not the purpose of life. Like back in the day, literally 20 years ago, before 1970s, African Americans and minorities, we struggled in slavery. And I'm only saying that because that's the reality. Of course, that's not the entire world. Of course, that's not everybody. But I'm very honest as a person. So it's just like when it comes to handling solutions, I do like to go to the origin and I do like to use the roots. And I do like to have factual information to back it up. That's why on this channel, I suggest and advise. And I do like to educate you guys with factual information for you all to interpret and process, because if a lot of people were to look at life in a bigger picture and not themselves and in a supernatural experience, you will understand that a lot of things in life are one meant for you to process, interpret, and enjoy. Now, of course, because everybody in life is not aligned with each other or has the same opportunities, you have measurements. You're going to have balance. You're going to have chaos. You're going to have confusion, because once again, how life has been projected. But when you're able to take a step back and you go with the flow and you, like I said, get more in tune with yourself internally and supernaturally, you will realize that we're here just to literally exist, in anything other than breathing on our own for free, because that's one thing that is guaranteed you is your breath, is appreciating yourself. So, new video, new month, going with the flow. It is April 2nd. I'm not going to be here too long unless some people come in and out the chat, of course. But I just wanted to let you guys know, like yesterday, I'm feeling better. Okay. I was on my menstrual. I'm saying was. I still am, but like usually the first day for me is like HE double hockey sticks. And I had to get a CT done on my uterus, you guys, because I have some difficulties that I'm working on. So when it comes to going with the flow, like I was talking about yesterday, and I want to continue on with this video, and for the first couple of days within this month, taking our time. Like, why do we have to race in life to just go to our grave? And once again, I'm not going to say I'm really honest or transparent, because those are all adjectives, but on this channel, I like to be real with myself. I'm not perfect. I don't come on here to overshare or for people to take advantage or for people to figure me out. Whatever people do when they come across the channel, that is their business. For the people who are genuine, the people that want to align themselves with people who are here to heal themselves, We have a mission, I have a mission. So that being said, I'm just here as a messenger, as a spirit in the vessel, in the physical world to help the collective raise their vibrations and understand that we want to be more in the present moment. Something that I want to suggest and advise with the new video and the new month and going with the flow for the rest of this month and this year is to practice being in the present moment. Something that I had to realize was that the reason why, for me at least, because I don't like to speak for the collective. If I'm speaking for the collective, I have other people in the chat or other people who acknowledge, because a lot of people like to speak in general, but they're speaking from themselves, and I do not like that. So, one thing I realized for me when I was overwhelmed and I had anxiety and I was just, like I said, all over the place mentally, was that I didn't have control of my thoughts. My thoughts literally were all over the place. And for me, what I had to realize to get over my anxiety and not feeling overwhelmed was just looking in the physical moment and accepting that I'm not in the year 2017. I'm not in the year 2016. I'm not in my car accident. I am not me being homeless when I used to be. I'm not in that abusive relationship. I'm not messing around with people who don't appreciate me. Like learning to understand what you go through in life, heal what you're going through in life, and moving forward. Now, of course, it takes time. Like, one thing I want to suggest and advise, like I said, because I'm not just going to speak for everybody, I'm speaking for myself because I am accountable and I am responsible and I'm not perfect, is that it does take time. Like, in order for me to acknowledge, accept, adapt, and take action, I had to make certain decisions in my life. And being accountable for me and what has helped me along my journey was being okay with that. Like in the moment, we make decisions. And once again, on this channel, I suggest and advise general information, not for people to define themselves or for people to take any and everything that they hear, but for people to realize and interpret how this information resonates with you, if it resonates with you. Like a lot of people, like myself now, this is a collective thing, have been taught certain information. We have been programmed certain information. Like I said, as an American, I can't speak for everybody because in America, it's like three different parts. We have a lower class, middle class, and higher class. That's how like society like interprets life. And because of the division in the society that we live in, a lot of people are taught certain information that necessarily is not true. So if you're taught in projected information that's necessarily not true, you have this um idea, or like you have this mentality, okay, when it comes to experiencing life or what you think your experiences should be. So lacking knowledge, being ignorant, is when you lack knowledge. So for me, I've been extremely ignorant, not because of my environment, not because I was raised, but because what has been projected. When you teach people false information or when people lack information that is not true, or for them to interpret or process, people are naive. They don't know any better. And for myself, one thing I could say, because I live in America, it's a lot of lack in the country when it comes to people. And when you lack information and you're not sure or you don't understand, you can have all these different scenarios, all these different outcomes that makes you project, that makes you have anxiety, that makes you feel depressed. When all actuality, you have all the answers. Other people cannot tell you how to be you. Other people cannot tell you how to live your life. People can suggest and advise information. You can have mentors. You can see people doing that, seeing people do things that you want to do. But it takes you individually to do what needs to be done because you're the only person who can do it. So, for example, how I consider myself as a channeler, a psychic, a spiritual healer. There are other people who do the same things, but nobody could do it like how I do it. Now, of course, when you are stepping into yourself, when you're healing yourself, people are going to attract to you, good and bad, because once again, people only know what they've been taught. And for me, at least, being naive was making decisions where I lacked knowledge and owning up to it and understanding now I could come on here and do what I'm doing. Now, when it comes to being an individual, I realize, in my opinion, now this is my opinion, I feel like a lot of people struggle with being an individual. Me personally, one thing I could say is that I've never struggled with being an individual. I always thought that I had necessarily, I had to fit in or like be surrounded by people. And as I'm learning to be more in tune with myself, I'm realizing that it's not possible. It's not. Nobody could fit in with anybody because if you're really in tune with yourself, there's only one you. So it's like when you're going with the flow, you learn certain decisions. You learn from, like I said, lacking knowledge. You learn from, the guidance that you were taught, and you learn to process information. You take the good, you take the bad, you take what you learn, and that's how you learn to accept your past and learn to be in the present moment so you can move towards the future. Like when you overwhelm yourself, your thoughts are from your suffering, your thoughts are from your anxiety, your thoughts are from your depression, your thoughts are from your past, your thoughts are from any and everybody else. Like one thing I had to realize about myself is that all these things that have been projected onto me, of course, were never true. And like me personally, I'm gonna be really honest with you guys. I've never been like bullied or struggled with like my physical self, like my worth, but internally, like vocalizing and expressing myself. That's something that I'm working on now. And this is another reason why I started my channel was to like, find my voice, like verbally. And the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of people, from my perspective, how I look at life, people that feel the need to not be themselves or stand alone or represent themselves have a desire of feeling needed or wanted. And I've had desires where I wanted to be feeling and needed and wanted, but they weren't through like my professionalism, they weren't through my family, they weren't through my friends. They were through intimate relationships. And I'm like I said, I'm gonna speak for myself. I'm not gonna sit here and say what I feel and then throw it on other people because you could tell when you're speaking from yourself and you could tell when you're giving information for the collective. Or at least I can. Let me just say that. So like me as a female, as a young lady, I've had my father in my life, but when I was 17 up until I was 20, a lot happened where I wasn't as close to my dad and I wasn't around him and we separated and he ended up passing away and I wasn't able to speak to him before he passed. So during that time and afterwards from 20 to 23 is when I started to go up and down hills with myself because like I said, lacking and not having the guidance. Like before then, boys weren't a prior to me. Honestly, I've only had two little relationships in high school. I don't know if they counted. And then afterwards, experiencing life. And that's why I only try to speak from a place of experience. Like, I'm not going to sit here and suggest advice information that I haven't gone through for myself if I'm not taking the time to educate you guys. And because I'm a real person, I can speak on that knowing that it's okay that I've made certain decisions that cause me lack with consequences. Like I lacked certain decisions with consequences when it comes to my relationships. Now, everyone is not me. Everyone's not going to suffer when they come to their relationships. But knowing that if it's a relationship, if it's your job, if it's your family, everybody in the world is going through things. Like going with the flow has made me realize that I'm not the only person in the world who's going through things, and I shouldn't feel pressured or like I said, needing attention or validation from society. Like, where in my life does it say that I have to work 60 hours a week? Where in my life does it say that I have to be a trillionaire? Where in my life does it say that if I'm not married by 27 with seven kids, like, where? The people who are chasing the attention don't even realize they're chasing illusions and they are very delusional and wonder why they're never satisfied or content with themselves. Like, and I used to be delusional and I used to be in part of delusion. And once again, I'm speaking from experience. I used to think if I had a boyfriend or a man that, I don't know, like yes, I'm attracted to men. Yes, I like men. And yes, as a female, I do like men. It's weird. But like, I had to realize, like, where does it say that I have to have a boyfriend? Where does it say I have to have kids? Like, who said that? Who made that up? And it's like, when you are, like I said, conditioned and exposed to certain information that may not be true and you lack the knowledge about the information, you run with it. And that's what a lot of people do. That's when it comes to people's individualities, when it comes to healing, when it comes to being exposed to certain people and realities and cultures and etc. Like, going with the flow is taking a step back, taking some time to really go with the flow. Like, what I want to suggest and advise is accepting your past. When it comes to going with the flow, accepting your past, because unfortunately, I wish I had a time machine. It's like, you guys, I watch TikTok probably way too much. You would think I'm like 12 years old, but like, I'm not saying that it's not possible to invent things like that, but for most people, we cannot go back in time. Like, you have a lot of thoughts in our mind that causes us to be overwhelmed, that causes us to have anxiety, that causes us to feel depressed. And those are all thoughts from programming, from unhealed trauma, I would like to say. And I know this because I suffered with unhealed trauma. And it wasn't until I realized, me being in the present moment, how much I've had unhealed trauma mentally and emotionally in my spirit that was causing me to feel stagnant and was causing me to feel like I couldn't move forward in life. Now, one thing I want to suggest and advise is that when we go through things in life, to allow them to be what they are. So, like the 4 A's that I have for the collective, and something that I'm really interpreting and I really need to hold myself accountable to, is acknowledging, accepting, adapting, and taking action. Every single day, and as I post my videos on here, I'm growing. Like, I started this channel at 22, I'm 25. And where I was at 22 and where I'm at 25, it makes sense why I am where I am emotionally, financially, physically, financially. I think I said that twice. Intuitively, everything. And it's not until you really, realize that the trauma that you suffered from is not to invalidate you, but it no longer exists. All the bad things that has happened to us has already happened to us. Now, for me, what I can say for myself is that I have learned, I will say, I guess, physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and intuitively, and financially, I need to start acknowledging. I need to start being aware. I need to start adapting and I need to start accepting so I can take action. Like, until you're able to accept, what has happened to you, when it happened to you, then you can move forward. If you're not able to realize that you suffered from trauma, that you were broke, that you were homeless, that you were raped, that you were molested, that you were kidnapped, that you were drugged, that you were pregnant, that you had a miscarriage, that you were in an abusive relationship, because everybody goes through things. There are some dark things that I've talked about, and there are a lot of dark things that you guys don't know anything about yet. And once again, this is a safe place. So, like, me presenting myself, I really, like I said, don't give a flying F about what anybody has to say. Like, one thing I'm starting to realize is like how people interpret things. Like, for example, I know this is YouTube. I know this is the internet. I know that there are a million and trillions of people in the world who, use the internet. But how I use the internet, of course, everyone doesn't use it the same way, but I control my mind. If I know that I'm a real person and this is just a physical material item and this is a camera and that behind this camera I'm a real person, what the people say on the internet is how they feel about themselves. Like, people can only project how they feel internally. Like, a lot of people say social media this, social media that. Social media is literally a word that is describing a form of media that people socialize with. To be specific, this is why I would read the words from the dictionary to break them down, not for people to be so content. Like, social media, the internet, all it is a technical or technology devices for us to interact with. They're apps. Our phone is a portal. The camera is a portal. Like, going with the flow is really, like I said, internally doing the work that you need to. And like, internally, I've done a lot of work to a certain level. But like I said, healing those traumas that no longer exist. That takes time because all of us have suffered. Like I said, all of us have been through things. Like I've been homeless, I've been broke, I've lost a parent, I've been kicked out, I've had a job, I've been fired, I've been in an abusive relationship, I barely graduated high school, I've worked, I haven't worked. Like only thing that has not happened to me, which I've came very close to, was me transitioning in the physical world. So the DEATH, for those of you who don't like that word. I've been in a car accident. I've had difficulties with my health. Like, so when it comes to going with the flow, just really, like I said, taking time to accept the trauma that you went through. Like you cannot heal from something if you do not realize how it made you feel. Like something that I had to realize is that the reason physically and financially I'm in the situation I am right now is because of what I've done a year ago or 2 years ago. Like what I did in 2019 has affected me in 2020 and 2021. And in the moment, because I was suffering, I didn't have time to process and it continued to linger on. And what I want to suggest and advise is when you go through a traumatic situation, is to heal from what has happened to you and take responsibility. And this is why I'm here, I put myself in a lot of, or 99% of the situations, I will say 99% of the situations, if not 90%, I was well responsible for, and 10%, some things just happened. And once again, I don't care about what anybody has to say because if I did, I wouldn't come on here and say what I'm doing. Now, it's one thing to say you don't care about something and you go about your business, but it's one thing to say you don't care about something and then you keep talking about it. I'm saying it to stand on because every time I say it, I move forward. It's certain things that I believe that you don't have to address because you carry yourself or your actions as well as your words. Because a lot of people like to say it's your actions, it's your words. It's everything. Okay, it's everything. And I'm learning. This is another reason why I have been trying to be consistent because I'm not who I was yesterday or the day before because those days do not exist. And going with the flow is being in the present moment and realizing the only thing you have is the present moment. Like it's already 11:36, and I know, like I said, I haven't been on man time in a while, but it's like I'll go from 11:08 p.m. to 11:36 in 2 seconds. Like I literally just got on here, and I was late. Like I was supposed to be here at 11 o'clock. It was 11:07 when I started the live. You feel me? So it's like, don't be distracted. Okay, you guys, hold on. I'm about to make my thumbnail for this video. Okay, so I have my Chick-fil-A. Yes, I made a cooking video. Yes, I'm eating Chick-fil-A. Yes, I made the food from the cooking video. You guys, I love to eat. Okay, that's random, but like, go with the flow. Take some time to heal yourself from those situations mentally and emotionally, physically or financially, however it affected you, so you can move forward and be in the actual present day and actually grow and get to where you need to be in life. Take your time. Like, in order for me to move forward, I have to take my time. And that means that some days from the situations that cause me a lot of pain, I'm gonna be affected by it, excuse me. Like, for example, my father passing away. It definitely affected me, like, dramatically. And it's almost, I guess, 4 or 5 years later. that I still haven't accepted it. Like mentally and emotionally, physically, yes. Spiritually, supernaturally, if you guys know, I'm now realizing, like, he's not gone, but like I said, mentally, emotionally, until I can align myself spiritually, that's a whole different topic, a whole different genre. But like, when you go through situations and you don't heal, what is going to happen is that your mind is going to be in that moment, but everything else is going to be in the present. So, for me at least, what I had to realize is that I would get triggered, and I still am triggered. And one thing that my aunt has made me realize, because she's lost her son, my cousin, he was murdered, that you want to, one, be positive, and two, you want to learn to forgive yourself. Because once again, like how I just said, me and my aunt, there are a lot of other people who have lost close people, and that's not the only person that I've lost before. And why the reason why I'm saying this is because we are not supposed to live here forever. So it's like every day in our lives, do things that make you feel good and make you feel like worth living for, because a lot of people do not realize that when your time comes, you're going to plan out your day and you think you're going to see the whole day. And physically, your body is going to decay. Spiritually, yeah, you'll see how the rest of the day goes and you'll see where you go, afterwards. But until then, learning to be in the present moment so you can know that when you do transition and when you're no longer here, you lived a good life. Everyone in the world is suffering. The only people who should not be suffering right now in the physical, not spiritually or supernaturally, are the brand new little babies that are being born. Everybody is suffering. Everybody in life has experienced trauma, anxiety, depression, ups and downs. Everybody. How do I know? Because there are a million, trillion, billion, gazillion people in the world. And everybody, every single where, from Monday through Friday, Saturday through Sunday, December through January, 9 to 5, 7 to 3, 8 to 2, 10 to 6, goes through everything. 365, 24 hours in a day. Now, of course, you wouldn't know that if you did not realize that there are more than the people you see in your area, as well as realizing that you're not the only person in the world. And once again, I live in America where they want to divide us and make it seem like we are so, superior, and we're not. And because of that, you have division, corruption, wickedness, and chaos that causes people to think that they're alone, to think that they're only people suffering, to think that I got to figure out how to get this money. Like, money, what I like to say is just money. It's not a tool to me, it's just paper. What do you use with it? You buy things. That's all money is. You use money to purchase items, whether it's a house, a car, clothes, food. And I know you're thinking, but I need money. We didn't always have money, you guys, but that's a whole different topic for a whole different day. So it's like, because the world is how it is, obviously, like I said, certain things we can't change in the past. What we can do is present ourselves to be in the present moment. We can heal ourselves so we can accept the present moment and move forward with gratitude, being appreciative, and not having to go through any more suffering. Like I said, for me at least, 90% of the suffering was my fault. Everyone is not me. Everyone's not as fortunate or experienced to realize that. So I'm not here to tell people how they're going to live their life or experience their life. But what I want to suggest and advise is for me to be honest with myself and hold myself accountable. I have to not make certain decisions in my life. So therefore, I don't have to experience trauma. Now, of course, because I'm only one person and there are other people in the world and I can't control other people, there are going to be interactions where certain things happen with other people and environments. But if I can control 90% of my reaction and my response and how I go about with those environments and how other people interact with me, 90% of my consequences are going to be on me. And that's the same thing with you. The more you can accept what you're going through, how you went through situations, and how it made you feel, and saying, hey, I was wrong, or hey, I did this and I didn't know, and, or hey, I didn't have the certain information, or hey, I lack knowledge, the more likely it is that you don't have to continue making decisions that cause you to go on a cycle or make you feel depressed or make you feel like you have anxiety because you are responsible for yourself. Anybody here, of course, who's over the age of 21, and let me be specific, anybody here who's over the age of 25, for my 21-year-olds, you guys are now just becoming legal. So it's like, take that time wisely. And like, I've always hung out with older people, and I make jokes about old people, but like, I understand now why. Like, the old people who are wise, because you just have some people who are just old, but for the older people who are wise, they tell you stuff for a reason. It's not just to, make you feel bad about yourself. It's not for them to feel like, oh, they're so much older than you, they're so much more superior. People who've gone through things, people who have experience, people who are wise, they're wise because they went through certain situations. Now, of course, just because people go through certain situations does not mean they're going to have the same outcome. But to prevent a situation from experience, all they're giving you is guidance. That's why my name is Tide Guidance. I'm just here to guide. I can't tell people specifically how to act because at the end of the day, like my math teacher, Mr. Gill, said, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And it's not my job. Why? Because a lot of people are hard-headed. How do I know this? Because I too used to be one of those people. Certain people have to fall and hit their head for them to realize that they fell. Some people, you could tell them, hey, if you touch that stove and it's hot, you're gonna burn your hand. Everyone does not process and interpret life the same way, and that is okay. But if you're constantly hearing something from somebody or somebody is constantly saying something to you, what I want to suggest and advise is taking a step back and just processing it. Because when it comes to discernment, when it comes with you going with the flow, you have to know what's working for you and what's clicking, Steven, and what's not clicking for you. In order for you to go with the flow, in order for you to be in the present moment, you do have to make certain decisions. Because just because people are there to suggest and advise information doesn't mean you're going to take the information. It doesn't mean that you process the information. It doesn't mean you even understand what is being said to you. And it's for you, like, to realize, okay, I made this decision. It wasn't the best. This was my outcome. I don't want to go through this again. Like I said, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, accepting, acknowledging, adapting, and taking action. And of course, it doesn't have to be immediately. But one thing that I've had to realize is to not dwell on my emotions to the point where they consume me, where I'm drowning mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or even financially. Learning to realize that, hey, if you put yourself in certain situations, you have to be responsible enough to get yourself out of this situation. And once you get yourself out of this situation, don't do it again. Like, I've made a lot of decisions in my life where when I was young, and I'm grateful, like, I know a lot of people think that I'm young. Like, I am young physically, but like in the spirit, no, I'm not at all. So that's why like, I'm very hard on myself. Like the same way I think very highly of myself is the same way I could really self-sabotage myself, and it's dangerous. Like I don't need to stress myself out. Like for me, I've been very fortunate, I guess supernaturally and psychically, to the point where like I've never heard voices, and that's not to belittle or not people who do, but like I know that it's me. Like some people have dialogues in their heads, some people like hear them. So I don't know, I probably would scream and internally freak myself out if I did. So it's like for some people who are aware, like I said, of their spirit, you know what you do. And if you're not, like in tune with yourself, like I said, on that level, you're gonna start to realize, because in the flesh, in the physical, like I said, you're gonna make these decisions emotionally, physically, financially. It's gonna reprogram and recycle into it either breaks you, it makes you, or you just become still. A lot of people, what I had to realize, are stagnant emotionally because they're not aligned with themselves spiritually. Like the people that I used to not really care for, what I've realized is that mentally and emotionally and spiritually, they're not aligned with themselves. And if I'm just a vessel and I'm just a spirit, it's not about me and it's not about them. And what they do is not about me and it's not about them. They're being used. Like Miss Lindaria, Pastor Lindaria, like she said, a lot of people are empty vessels. I am not an empty vessel. Even though I made certain decisions and I'm aware of how, like I said, the supernatural world works, I pay attention. And because I'm paying attention, I want us to continue, for anybody, like I said, who supports me, because you're supporting yourself, to be in the present moment and just really be accountable. There's nothing wrong with being accountable. Like I want to suggest and advise a lot of people, especially for the adults, if you say you're an adult, if you say you're grown, to start holding yourself accountable. Because when you hold yourself accountable, like I said, the trauma that happens in the future, 90% you have control over. That 10%, if other people, your environments, or your circumstances switch up, you still have 90% of the weight to say, how am I going to react? How am I going to respond? And that's something, I'm not going to lie, that's very big of me, you guys. And this is how I know I'm becoming the young lady and the woman that I want to be. Like, I used to be immature, and I still could be immature. But as I've grown older, and I've been saying this last year, and I didn't realize, like, what you say is very true, rather you believe it or not. All last year I kept saying, when I turn 25, I'm gonna be this and I'm gonna do that. Now that I'm 25 and I've been 25 for a couple months now, or almost, I'm realizing like this is what 25 is like. Okay. If I'm gonna be about it, be about it. Like what's to talk about? Now, of course, you guys don't have to have this mentality, of course. And that's another thing. When you are yourself, you don't have to worry about what other people are doing. You don't want to be like anybody else. Like I've never wanted to be like anybody. Like I admire what people do, but to sit here, like physically, I'm very grateful. And it has nothing to do with me looking any type of way, because one thing I disagree with is when people say like their advantages. Like everyone is beautiful in their own way. Like once again, that's like society. Like beauty is a word. Like there's no picture of what beautiful is. I think people say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Like just because somebody doesn't think you're beautiful, that means you don't feel beautiful about yourself. That's like me. Like once again, if someone were to call me ugly, which they're allowed to if they feel like I'm ugly, I'm not gonna sit here and agree with them. Like just because that if someone calls me ugly, I'm gonna sit here and say, am I supposed to be attracted to you? If I think I'm beautiful and somebody thinks I'm ugly, that doesn't change my worth. That's like, for example, the people that I interacted with, like I said, because that's where I struggled, was my intimacy. The little boys that I used to mess with, because they were little boys, not men, because no real man is gonna sit here and But anyways, the little boys I used to interact with, they thought I was very beautiful, and because they didn't know their worth, they would project and try to like, and that's not how that works. just because you are not, sure of yourself doesn't mean that I'm about to do certain things. And I had to realize that, like, but because once again, there are certain things that people want. Like me personally, I never, like I said, wanted like to fit in. I just felt like if I had a boyfriend, if I was your boyfriend, like I feel like if I had a boyfriend, like I don't know what I thought, because it's like now it's just like, my husband, that's a whole different topic, whole different subject. But like I was just young and naive. That's all I can say, I guess, because it is what it is. Like I'm not mad. Like I definitely, you know, stayed in situations, or I definitely settled. I'm gonna say that I settled. And that's okay, because we don't do the settling no more. Like I said, I'm 25 and 25 in real life, okay, on my grown woman age. I'm not settling. I definitely did settle, because it's not that I didn't know my worth. It was just like I was content. And it's like, it's not gonna work. Never be content with temporary people who are not complete or in tune with themselves. Because some people, depending on how they carry themselves, if they're not in tune with themselves, they'll make you feel like they will, do certain things or pretend to be people some that they're not, and it's not worth their time and energy. And like that is the reason why I'm in the situation I am right now, physically and financially. But as I'm learning to accept what I've done, it's like, what can I do? Like to hold myself accountable. Like, did I make drastic decisions in my past without really thinking about the consequences? Because of, like I said, temporary people? Yeah. Now I'm in the present moment. So it's just like, it is what it is. And it's been a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I have no choice but to be okay with my current situation, because what can I do about it? Like if I'm not trying to get myself out of the situation. Now, of course, it's not to invalidate my emotions, because emotionally I went through it. I've been through a lot. But if I really care about myself and I know myself, I have to hold myself accountable. Like I have to acknowledge what I did. I have to accept it. And I have to learn how to adapt. Like I want to shout out my dad, and I want to shout out the real men in the world, because that's what real men do, and women. Like women, we already know what's up. Like if you're a real woman, you already know we run this. But like men, the reason why I'm saying that is because how I look at men, they are very good at adopting the real men, not the little boys. Like my dad, he was a real man. He wasn't perfect, but he knew how to adapt. And like a lot of the men that I look up to and my mentors and the men that I speak with now, that's how they move. Women, we adapt, but like our emotions is just, that's what we are. Like we're just supposed to be like this, okay? So women, I'm not coming for us. If you are a woman, you know that I'm talking to the men right now. As a woman, we already know, like, it's been about us. Been, big portals, big life, the reason why the world goes around, okay? But I'm saying that to say this, men or women, like the adults here. Now, if you're a child, make sure you have your parents' supervision, okay? Because I don't mind inspiring the children. But the children, like I said, that's who my biggest concern is for, like, are the children. Because it's just like I said, they are the only people physically who should not be stressed or depressed. And that's not true necessarily, because all children are not born into the world equally or abundantly. And as adults, we're responsible for our decisions. And I'm an adult, and I too can speak on that. And I too can speak from experience from, certain situations. So I just want to say, with us going with the flow for the rest of this month in this year, that just continue to heal yourself from your past. Like, something I want to suggest and advise is getting a journal or a notebook and document how you feel. Start to write down how you feel emotionally, verbally. Well, not verbally, but verbally you can say it out loud. But if you don't have anybody to confide in, if you're depressed, you have anxiety, you want to be isolated, you don't want to talk to anybody, or you feel like you can't talk to anybody because your environment or your resources, if you feel like you lack, if you don't have the knowledge, or like I said, verbally express yourself. Like, make time to yourself. Something that I did recently was make a playlist. Now, of course, I have a lot of playlists, and like I'm very in tune with music. Like, I listen to all kind of music. Like, my favorite, though, to be specific, is R&B, rock, and pop. Like, those are my three favorite kinds of music that I listen to. But I do listen to country music. I do listen to heavy metal. I do listen to classical music. I do listen to jazz. Like, I don't discriminate when it comes to music. I like a beat. As long as I can bop to it, as long as I can feel it, it's gonna flow with me regardless. And like, I dance in real life. Like, I like to dance. So it's like, it doesn't matter. Making a playlist and like listening to some music, I want to suggest and advise it because, like I said, I suggest and advise what I go through. If not, I do like to educate you guys. But like, I feel like music for me has definitely helped. And like I said, dancing, if you know how to dance, you don't have to be a professional. You can teach yourself. Like, you can teach yourself how to do anything, you guys. Like, I've taught myself how to do a lot of things. Taught myself how to drive, taught myself how to dance, I taught myself how to cook, I taught myself how to clean, I taught myself how to, okay, a lot of things. Because like I said, my parents, they were just providers now, or my dad was just a provider. Now that I think about it, like, I raised myself and I did a lot of things on my own. Not in a bad way, but like, my parents, they did what they could. And like, you can teach yourself how to do all these things. So like, just expressing yourself, listening to music, like, when you're healing, what I was suggesting advise is that you have your days to grieve, because grieving is a cycle, it's ongoing, like, it doesn't have to stop. But you also make time to yourself and you enjoy yourself. Like today, I was making a cooking video, and I always cook with music for a reason. But like, really dancing while I was like cooking my food, even though it was just me. And of course, I posted it for YouTube, but like, enjoying myself, enjoying that time and healing myself. Like I said, one thing that I'm currently healing myself from, and I feel like it's gonna take a long time to be really honest, is like my dad's death, just because of the relationship I had with him and how things ended. But there are other things that I've had to learn to heal from, like me relocating, me, you know, emotionally, physically, and financially, from, relationships, from friends to jobs to being in intimate relationships with people, from people that I no longer associate myself with, and not being so hard on yourself. Like I said, the same way I hold myself like really high standard and accountable is the same way I can like self sabotage. And like, me getting into a car accident, me accepting that, in life, like I said, you control what you can. So just the more you can control the things that you have control over, when you learn and you know how situations make you feel, do better. Like, there is no choice, because it's a feeling, it's a knowing. Like, if you want to go with the flow, you want to be in the flow, you want to be in the present moment, you got to hold yourself accountable. And once again, who cares what anybody thinks? It's not to say that you cannot care about yourself and that you don't want to carry yourself and not care about yourself and how you present yourself. But if you are in tune with yourself, you know what you do, you know how you carry yourself, you know what you want, you know how you feel. So what other people think of you is not their business. And if you care about yourself, that's what I mean by who cares. It's not to say that you act any type of way, you talk any type of way, you present yourself any type of way. But if you have these standards for yourself, you have standards for yourself. Your standards are not meant for other people to be approved of. That's the purpose of a boundary. People don't get to tell you how you set your boundaries, or people not going to, nobody gets to tell me how I set boundaries. Nobody's ever, other than my parents. And, when I had worked for other people, my bosses, they had these little policies, and sometimes I've always been like rebellious or whatever. I do what I want because it's just like, I'm me. If I don't feel like I'm not going to do something, I'm not going to do it, because how I am, I'm either going to give it 100% my energy, or I'm not going to give anything my all. And that is, kind of stubborn of me to have this mentality. Like, I do have a black or white, left or right type of, but that's on me. Like, I have to deal with the consequences. or I have a certain outcome. Everyone is different. Just do what works for you and practice daily. So once again, make sure you guys are following me on my Instagram and Twitter at Timeless Guidance to stay up to date. If anybody joins the chat, we'll continue to go on. But if not, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, you guys. It is going on. It is 12:03 and it's April 3rd. This is what I'm saying. It was literally just 11 o'clock. Now it's 12:03, but I haven't been on physical time in a while. That's why I never know the date or the time. But that's okay, you guys, because I'm in the present moment and I'm ascending. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for other videos. And you guys, I'm gonna make sure I leave my link because I kept talking about leaving my link. I have a cooking channel and a cooking video and vlogs. Of course, it's just I'm going with the flow. So like stay tuned for that. I just made some pancakes. I made spaghetti, and I have another video that I'm gonna be posting soon. And I'm gonna be posting for the month of April because, like I said, I'm just going with the flow. Like I'm 25. I'm grateful to be alive. I can breathe on my own, and I'm just learning to heal from my past trauma. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Live your life. Don't forget to say YOLO. I love all you guys. Good evening, good morning, good night. If you're going out, make sure you guys get me to and from your destination safely. And I will see you guys in the next video. Until next time, you guys. Peace.